Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to SpectrumMamis. Mummies. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Could be better. Could be better. But
Here we are.
here we are, day by day.
Yep.
We gotta take it day by day. Hopefully everybody's doing well out there. And let's dive in.
Yes.
Let's dive in. So when we were getting ready, Missy over here, didn't you have something about Santa?
Oh, yeah. So cute story.
No. Oh, no.
My baby boy with a full-grown beard.
You're right.
My baby boy, Dad asked him. So he's done this for a little while, but not consistent, because he forgets. So Dad asked him, hey, Justin, who's coming to town? And he says, Santa Claus. That was so cute. And then he tells him, and what is he bringing? And he goes, presents. So that time he said toys, which was really cute, and that's what he's always said. But then when I asked him, he said presents, which I thought was awesome that he put those two together. That is really generalizing.
Yeah, the toys and the presents,
That's amazing. And then short thereafter, he started. So when I asked him again, because he usually says toys, but now he says presents sometimes. And then suddenly the other day he goes, right after he goes, ho, 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 Merry Christmas.
So he knows.
So he knows and he gets it.
Santa's coming to town.
Yeah. And that's taken years for him to understand that concept. And last year during Christmas time, we were having a very rough time. So we didn't have much of a Christmas. I mean, we did whatever we could do for our daughter, but we didn't have him at home, or he was at home, but things weren't very well. And so we're very much looking forward to this Christmas because we think that he's gonna enjoy it a lot more, especially now that he's at 18. Finally, he's understanding that concept more.
Yeah.
Christmas,
some kids it takes a little longer. It just takes a little longer, and know exactly when is the right time to introduce certain things. Sometimes we want to bombard him, and we want to,
True.
But my kid needs to be doing this at this time, or this and that. It's like, no, and I learned that. And not only that is that, sometimes you compare your kids, and then you say, no, pero fulanito is está, no sé, haciendo la cama, y él todavía no sabe ni poner un toy arriba de la cama.
Right.
And then you want to no, okay, let's just step back.
At their pace.
Go at their pace. There's certain things that I should have been doing, no sé, 2, 3, 5 years ago, that I'm just doing now.
That's fine.
But is that I understand that back then it would have been frustrated for him and frustrated for me. Because it's like, why don't you get it? No, I feel like they will all get it in due time. Right?
Yeah, and not only that, I remember we did a video a while back of sweating the small stuff, or what to. I think it was titled. It was something about. It wasn't necessarily sweating the small stuff.
No, it was,
but pick your battles or something like that.
Right.
And that's a really good example of that, what you just explained. Who cares?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
If that's what's, working for you, go. Everything should be at their own pace. Yes, you want to motivate them and give them a little push when needed, but, motivation, because I hate, you saying you want to push them, but motivate them, yes. Try different things, yes. But everything is at your own pace.
At their pace, at their time.
Yeah.
Because I feel we want to bombard him with so many things. I'm doing that now, bombarding him with a bunch of stuff, but because I know he can handle it.
He can do it, yeah, exactly.
Before, there were certain things that I wouldn't try or wouldn't do, or bombard him with a lot of therapies and in such a rigid schedule,
a rigorous schedule. Yeah.
Because I knew it was too much for him.
Right. one of the things that we laugh at all the time, and this was a prime example, what Justin did was a prime example, is your kids know actually a lot more than you think they know. If you don't try, you don't know. So we often joke and we say, it's a Spanish saying that says, ese niño sabe más de lo que le han enseñado. And Justin's 8 of 10 years has always said, es un vago. Él sabe más que lo que le han enseñado. He's just being lazy. You know, because yes, there is a lot that he can't do, but there is a lot that he can do, and we just don't know that he can do it.
Right.
So yeah. That's all.
You know, one thing I wanted to tell you, you know, the whole thing about Angel doing jokes. You know that he loved jokes.
He loves jokes. Yes. Always. He's always loved jokes.
Yeah. Once he started understanding what jokes are,
right?
Of course,
right.
You know, he was much older. He was like what, 7 or something.
Oh yeah, probably that sounds right.
Around that time. So yeah, when he was making la conexión, cuando ya él sabía lo que era a joke, un chiste de que and then you give the punchline and then people laugh, you know, that kind of thing. So he was understanding more or less that around that time.
And that's actually not something easy to understand.
No.
Just like our kids tend to have a very hard time with sarcasm. They don't understand sarcasm most of the time.
Yeah.
And they think of everything they think of everything in a very literal sense. And so sarcasm, like you can't, and a lot of kids on the spectrum, you can't tell them, hold your horses. I saw an example of that.
Actually, the speech therapist is working on that.
That's awesome.
Like the idioms.
Yes.
So when I tell him something
That's
like that,
great.
he'll say, Mom, is that an idiom?
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'm like, yes, it is, Angel. Yes, it is.
That is awesome.
You know, so,
that I think that kids really struggle with that.
Yeah, they do.
And so even like the punchline and the joke and all that, the fact that he's finally, you know, and he's always loved jokes. I think since he started understanding what a joke was, he really always liked them. I remember him telling jokes all the time. We actually have him on camera.
We do.
Telling jokes. That's awesome.
In a play. So
yeah.
he had to, you know. Él le encanta lo que es un micrófono. If he can
He's a
stand
performer.
Yes.
He really is a performer.
Drama. Drama.
He really is.
So he tells me, Mom, I got some jokes for Halloween. And I'm like, yeah? He goes, I'm getting them all ready. And I'm like, really? And I'm like what? And he's like, wait, hold on. Get this. What do you call 2 witches living together? And I'm like, what do you call them? He goes, broommates. And then it's so funny. You should, awesome. You just gotta see his face, like,
yeah, when he finally tells you.
He's like, that's funny, right? And I'm like, yes, it is. Yes,
that's
it is.
Awesome.
Entonces yo, of course, me empiezo a reír exageradamente para, you know, make him feel good. Pero, oh my God, he's always loved it. And his first one.
His knock jokes. Yeah.
His first one is knock, who's there? Orange. Entonces, no,
it was something about the orange and the banana.
No, banana, perdón. Banana. I'm sure people know this because it's an old joke. Yeah. So every time it was like, knock, who's there? Banana. Knock,
it was banana there? over and over again.
And then a lo último dice, knock, and who's there? Orange.
Aren't you glad I didn't say banana? I remember that.
That was like his first
favorite. Yeah, it was, and he loved it for a while. I remember that.
Entonces lo decía todo a cada rato. Entonces when he had that reaction, imagínate.
Yeah.
Today's topic, sexuality.
Yes. It may be a little uncomfortable for some, but we're going to sort of dive in, and we're not going to get too technical.
No. We never do, but,
but it's a very touchy subject. Like I remember.
I feel like sex in general for typical people with, overall is something like a taboo for some people. It's like, ay, no se dice eso.
Yeah.
Ay, no esto. Ay, no joda. Ay, no joda. Like you don't do it. Yeah. So I'm not judgmental, pero cuando llega a cosas así, it's like, Really?
Right.
Of course, we're not going to be, free for all and talking about, cualquier cosa. Pero in our case, having a child with autism, and as they grow, a lot of things emerge, right? And I feel like cuando ya los niños son más grandes, son problemas más...
Yeah.
Todos son difíciles.
Niño chiquito, problema chiquito. Niño grande, problema grande.
Exacto.
Yeah.
In our case, it's always grande.
Yeah, true.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Right.
But some things are more manageable than others, and some things are easier to manage than others. So this is a very tricky subject for moms with teenagers.
Yeah.
Especially boys. Well, with girls too. Girls, tú sabes que I feel like I'm so glad that I don't have a girl.
Yeah.
I right now, where I'm at with Angel,
Right.
I'm so glad that I don't have a girl.
Yeah.
I just feel like menstruation, like todas esas cosas.
Yes.
Es un longer pattern, it's more explaining that you have to do. It's more of an awareness. It has to do with cleanliness. It has to do with yo tuviera like
I know.
all
I
over the
actually
place,
have known people
oh my
that,
God.
like other moms that have girls that they've gone through that, and they struggle with the cleanliness. They struggle with how often do they have to change. That can present issues when you have a child that may not be that potty trained. You have to remember that they're going to go through puberty and they're going to go through these stages regardless of their autism. So it kind of presents a problem, because what if you have a child that isn't potty trained and then now they have a menstrual cycle?
If they're super low functioning,
right,
how we will call it, imagine.
Right. You would have to just essentially, like how you change a diaper, you would have to be changing the child all the time, or your teen.
And also even though they may be lower functioning, me imagino, ¿no? Que in their mind, seeing themselves
something is happening. When you see blood, you see
and sometimes
it's a problem. Yes, and it comes with pain, and they may not be able to explain the pain, and it may cause other behaviors, because I can imagine, I get nasty cramps sometimes. I can imagine, I can't even think what it must be like to have that pain and not know why you have that pain, and you can't even express that you have that pain. So
and if they're lower functioning, that would bring out
it could bring out a bunch of behavior. Yeah, for sure,
because they're so frustrated that they can't verbalize. So it's like free for all.
I think that for moms of girls, and I luckily, I've spoken to my daughter about that stuff already, but she totally gets it, and she's she's not necessarily on the spectrum, and she gets it. But when you have a child that actually is capable of understanding that, so I don't mean a child that isn't potty trained that you have to change them constantly, but if a child is able to do that for themselves, I would definitely start with, if you think you're getting close to that time, and we're not experts, but based on what I've seen and spoken to other BCBAs and other moms who have been through this, is start getting them ready for that. Maybe create a social story. You could create a social story with even with the pads. I've seen, and you could find anything online right now. So a social story may actually, and you do it with repetition.
Yeah.
And it may help them understand, because when that time comes, you don't want it to be the very first time, and then they think that they might think they're hurt, like you said. So
to see themselves in blood and the real understanding of what really is going on with your body. You're having pain, you're having blood coming out, oh my God, something's happening, oh my God.
Sure.
Tú sabes, yo me imagino que eso es súper frustrante.
Yeah.
So,
Just
yeah, and the
the-
social studies.
No, I can't say that word today. I don't know what's going on.
Social stories.
There's social stories for everything.
For everything.
And if my advice to other parents, whether boys or girls, it doesn't have to only apply to sexuality. If there's something that you need to get ready for, and you don't think, a lot of kids are visual thinkers. So when we've talked about this a
I
lot.
feel like all of them.
Right.
More than others, but yes.
Sure. If you have a concern about something like that and you can't find one already like pre-made online, speak to your BCBA and they will, if your child gets behavioral services, speak to your analyst and they will help you. They will guide you or they'll create one from scratch.
And you could do it too. You could help out, there's so many times that I've gone, to do like behavior charts and things like that, and I work with the therapist to actually make it angel
proof.
Yeah. So have
very
had to,
specific.
I've had to print out pictures and do things that, and how about this one should be better, or this one no, entre again, always have a good relationship with your therapist, and always
we
have
can't say that
open,
enough.
Yes, we can't. I repeat it, and the way that I thank God that I have had people that are willing to listen and that are willing to work with me and work with him, because at the end of the day, whoever comes to your house or whoever works with your child and with you.
Yeah,
because it's a village.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's teamwork. So
definitely. Like we are discussing some issues right now with the same topic. Like we're having some issues with the same topic, and I've already spoken to the therapist is aware, and the therapist spoke to the analyst. The analyst is going to the school today. We're addressing all of it. And in fact, once that gets taken care of, then I'm going to request a meeting at the school so that the school is aware of what's going on and so that we can all work in the same direction. We can all be in the same direction and on the same page. If the analyst comes up with things and we're working on that at home and the school is not aware, you can really undo it very, very quickly by not being aware and everybody not being on the same page. So as far as us, we're having a lot of issues with that right now, and we're developing strategies for it.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be. Just to, we can fix our kids' world, but at least we can make it a little easier to understand. And with boys, it's, look, at the end of the day, whether it's a boy or a girl, I mean, what do you look into sex? Having, a connection, que no sé qué, no sé cuánto. Esas cosas ellos no están pensando.
No.
They're not thinking about that.
No.
So they're thinking of what feels good. And I touch myself here. And well.
Yeah.
I could do this all day, all the time.
Right.
Every day, all day.
Right.
No.
And that's not the way it works. You can't do that all day, all the time. And that is something that we've talked amongst each other a lot. And in fact, I think I mentioned to you that I went to a training a while back at Justin's previous school where we were talking about, it was like a 3-part training. It was mostly on sexuality, masturbation, and like just the human growth and development. Where we talked a lot about like menstrual cycles and body changes.
Right.
And all of these things you can find social stories on, especially even the body changes. But imagine you have a boy that's very low functioning and is starting to get erections, and they're happening more and more, and he doesn't understand what's going on. So if you start noticing that is starting to be an issue where there's, that you see them, that they're touching that area or anything like that, I think that one of the most important things is to try to teach in a way that they understand that is private, and that it's not that you can't do it, is that it has to be done in your room.
Right. But in my case, I it started happening, and they generalize a lot of it. So it's almost like, if I do it here, why can't I do it anywhere and everywhere or anytime? So to be able to help your child navigate these feelings, these changes, some structure has to be there. Tienes que ayudarlo a que entiendan en su forma, ¿no? Y darle un poquito de estructura para que entonces no sea ahí a lo loco, tengo ganas ahora y ya.
Es que that's the thing, like if you develop those rules and they understand that it has to be in private in their room, they're never going to want to leave the room if they're enjoying what they're doing. So, I could do it as long as I'm in my room. Okay, well, I'm staying in here for a solid 8 hours. That's not the way it works.
Exactly.
So you have to have some rules.
It sounds so así tan, no sé, como si fuera a military kind of deal. Whatever,
no, but what do you? It's just it's with a neurotypical child, you don't even know they're doing it, right? Exactly. Because they know that it's private, and they know that it's not supposed to be every single time that they're by themselves. But when you have
every hour in the hour,
right. Right. So with I remember when in that training that I went to, I remember there was a mom that she voiced her opinion where she doesn't want her kid to do that at all. And
hello.
And I remember the principal of the school, who was the one hosting the workshop, said, "Well, but don't you have a neurotypical teenager in your house? Like another child?" And she's like, "Yeah." She goes, "Well, what makes you think that he's not doing it? He's doing it. It's just you don't know, because they know right from wrong. They know they're not supposed to be doing it around the clock, or that they're not supposed to. Then they're doing it in their privacy."
And I think communication with any child, not just with an autistic child, any communication, especially about that, it has to be open, because nowadays, our parents said nowadays, and now we say nowadays. So, the whole, times changing kind of deal. Is so different. And what you think they know may not necessarily have the right information.
Yeah.
So you want to have an open communication. You want to guide them. I mean, no vas a estar ahí. ¿Y qué estás haciendo? ¿Y what do you do? No. But you want to have that kind of open communication, so they get the right information. And they don't fall into, I didn't know, or I didn't know about this, I didn't know about STDs, or I didn't know about, They learn a lot of stuff through friends. They learn stuff through school. Before, we used to learn more about it. Now, not so much. Por lo que he visto, ¿no? Pero como quiera, you want them to have that information the right way. And with Angel, trying to give them a schedule for it, it was, and we don't want to call it schedule, because we don't want to call it that.
And at the same time too, like the way that you do it, I'm just curious, like, do you say you can do it as long as you're in your room? You can do it as long as it's between these hours or between this time, but not that
we try that.
He has to do that at that time, because I don't want it to. I mean, and maybe I'm wrong, but you also don't want it to be where. What if Tuesday at 3:00? I understand structure, and structure is important, but what if it's Tuesday at 3:00, and Tuesday at 3:00? Normally he's in his room, but today you had something you needed to do and you're not in his. Like, is he gonna freak out because he's not in his room Tuesday at 3:00? That's a fine line.
We ran into those issues, and we ran into the thing of, okay, if we tell him, because, and I'm talking me, my child, the way he understands, the way he is.
Right.
Now, all the kids are different.
Exactly.
Okay? So some understand better than others. Some are more aware than others. So I'm talking my experience, okay? So with Angel, it was difficult because he generalizes. I feel like he generalizes more than the usual sometimes. And if you tell him, okay, so like you said, if between these times, it's okay as long as you're in your room and all this stuff. We were running into the problem as in, okay, so between those times, entonces tú veías que él miraba, y entonces it was.
It becomes a schedule. It was a schedule.
No,
even though you didn't want it to be a schedule.
No, pero it was like, okay, so between these times, puedo hacerlo 5 veces. ¿Entiende? ¿Sabe?
Lo que es ser jovencito.
Lo que es ser jovencito, sí. Sí. So, entonces...
5 veces está Steve.
No,
pero, I know.
Pero una vez me pasó...
Right.
Que within less than 2 hours, it was twice. I was like... Wait, hold on. Espérate. Vamos a redirect and reword our stuff, you know?
Right.
So, sí, porque yo dije, no, espérate, aguanta. Entonces con él, my child, the way he understands, right? So I worked with the ABA team, right? And we were going back and forth. So they were like, okay, how about the bathroom? And I'm like, okay. First, I can see him staying there forever.
Right.
Second of all, if he sees a bathroom and he feels that, or he feels a little,
or just in general. So like back to that issue with generalization, that's another thing that we learned in that training that I went to years ago, is that the best place is really the room. Sometimes that's not an option. Sometimes the kid shares a room with somebody else.
And not only that, if he does it in his room, you have to teach. On top of that, you have to teach the right way to clean themselves.
Yeah, true.
And give him the tools that he needs for that. Because
that always goes back. We have to keep repeating that. Your child, because like mine. So the issue that we have is mine can't even figure out what
is happening.
Why, he has an erection 23 hours a day. Like, what is going on? And why is that happening? And what do I do about it? So, but in the case of your child,
right,
that's where it makes a difference.
Right.
And then, he does already know that part. So then,
we were getting him ready for that before everything happened. Pero de un día para otro, eso fue like,
right.
What?
Yeah.
When I heard, what he said, I was like, ¿cómo?
Yeah. Right.
Espérate.
Right.
A correr. Pero, the thing is that with him, if I tell him bathroom, he will be like, no, pero there's a bathroom here.
There's a bathroom here. I'm at Publix. Wait.
Espérate. Like, I feel, look, Mom.
There's,
no. So
yeah, that's a big problem.
We went around. The reason I'm explaining this is that we went around a couple of different scenarios, and not only that,
and discussed it with the team. And it wasn't until you wait a minute. Well, this won't work because of this, and this won't work, and that really has to do with everything, not just this topic.
No,
but with everything. Like you gotta go back to the drawing board 10 times.
10. So. También, yo pensando que a couple of nights a month, he is at his dad's house. So, and there's other people at his dad's house and all that stuff. So, y entonces, si decimos baño, entonces se mete allá y entonces yo dije, no, aguanta con el baño, vamos a ver. Entonces, thank God that he has his own room.
Right.
Because there's kids that share a room.
And then,
So
it's a problem.
And since we had already more or less started talking about, the changes in your body, what you feel, ya nosotros veníamos hablándole de todo esto.
Right.
So he was already kind of aware of, things that can be happening. So when it got to that point, then when you see that your child is masturbating, then you really have to go through all of that, plus teaching them how to, because basically you gotta teach them how to clean themselves, dispose of it.
God, I don't even want to think about that. I'm mortified.
All that stuff. Tú me veías que yo cogí y le puse in his nightstand, I put a thing of baby wipes, porque we don't want, everywhere and anywhere.
Yeah.
So, todas esas cosas, you have to go through it, that you wouldn't have to go through it with any other kid.
Right.
Right? Because I didn't have to do this with,
right, of course not.
With Sergio.
Right.
He knows. He does this thing and
right.
No sé ni a qué hora, ni cuándo, ni dónde. So,
right.
That was fine. Pero con Angel, it's a little bit different. Then, we also had to talk about that. We have to explain how important, the cleanliness
the hygiene, yeah.
Then afterwards, you have to go wash your hands. Todas esas cosas.
Yeah.
Now.
And practice lots of hand washing. And before also, because, your privates are sensitive areas that can get infected.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
So, we went through the whole thing. And then going back and forth, what would be the appropriate time, appropriate date, all that. So we came up with before bedtime. I'm thinking it relaxes you. Hey, it relaxes you. It's when you're unwinding and the day is over. So I told him, okay, how about and in some of these conversations, he was part of it.
Oh, good.
Not all conversations, but some of these conversations, he was part of it. So, because I wanted him to feel like...
Sure. It really, because he has that capacity.
We're coming up with this, but...
Yeah. That's good.
You're part of it, you Well, long story short, we ended up saying that right before bedtime, right? So, yo le compré un little sign que dice, please be quiet or something like that. Algo así, rojo. De un lado dice rojo. Entonces yo le dije, okay, porque that was another thing. He would leave the door open.
Yeah. It's because they don't have that. It's not like, they don't have la malicia.
Entonces yo le decía, Angel, not wide open,
right,
pero media abierta.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Yo iba y cuando más o menos me iba a comer esto, yo veía la función ahí, and I was like,
right.
Angel, you have to understand that this, you can't have it, the door open. You can't have the door open.
Right.
And he's like, but I'm in my room.
Right.
Sí, mi vida, but you're in your room, but you need to have complete privacy because this is something, because we don't know who's going to be here at the house, who can come, out of the blue and visit, and we don't want your door open like that.
Right.
Not even a little bit.
Sure.
So, that was another thing that we had to get used to. Entonces, ahí yo le dije, hey, how about if I get you a sign? So, I got him the sign. And I said, look, when you put this red, this red part in your door,
like a sock on the door, like
a sock on the door.
the college students are trying for their roommate not to come back.
Porque yo dije, bueno, algo que más o menos él diga, okay, pongo el sign y cierro la puerta.
Right.
Que él no se olvide. Mind you, all this is happening, and there were certain times that I would walk in there and be like, ¿qué pasó? todo esto es, no pasa from one day to the next. It doesn't. So, once he already got the sign, entonces una noche él me dice, él estaba de que es como que él llegó al punto que él entendió que, you know, the whole schedule kind of thing, and you know, before going to bed and all that stuff. Y era, bueno, still to this day, pero no tanto. Como pidiendo permiso, como que I'm doing this. Un día estábamos aquí todos, estaban los muchachos de Manuel.
Oh my God.
Cosas, y entonces viene con el sign y dice, Mommy, I'm gonna have private time now.
So I'm like, you just
sí, mi vida. Okay. Me levanté, fui para allá y yo le dije, papá,
you don't have to announce it.
Yeah, you don't have to announce it. You could be quiet about it.
Right.
That's okay.
No.
Que no sé qué. Y ya. We have to work back to the drawing board.
Right.
With the team. You know, and these are things that they're involved because every so often, another thing, él no habla de eso con nadie.
Con nadie, right? He knows who he can talk to about
Thank
that.
God, because there's other kids que will blur it out anywhere and, you know. Pero él sabe que es conmigo.
Que those are private things,
Conmigo y con las muchachas del team. Y ellos no hablan de eso todo el tiempo.
Right, of course.
Sino que, hey, remember, you know, you don't have to. And they have ways of kind of bringing up in conversation in certain things that they kind of just give gentle reminders of certain things that you should do, not do, you know. Are you cleaning your hands after? Oh, okay, perfect, okay. Yeah. Tú sabes, siguen con sus cosas.
Yeah.
Bueno. Entonces, back to the drawing board. Let's work on this. Now, it's almost like he'll stand by the door or whatever y tú ves que él me enseña.
Pobrecito.
Él me enseña and I'm like, y yo me hago tú sabes. And he's like, okay.
So is he getting, okay, and does he know that it's only at bedtime when he's home? Not when he stays at dad's.
That's another thing. Porque
because
when
he doesn't
goes,
have his own room at dad's. Right.
When he goes to dad's, he shares a room with Sergio. And then he even asked. And I said, okay, no, you can't. Because, again, this is something that you do alone. This is something that you do in private.
Right.
So, fue explicarle. And then, after that, I said, because ya it's almost like it gets obsessive.
Sure.
So, I was like, okay, let's start. At first, I didn't. Pero, poquito a poquito, yo dije, okay, there are days that you could skip. So, we started introducing.
Perfect. Yeah, that's good. Or like that you could skip, or, I mean, I don't know if that's the way you put it, or, because I think the way that I would probably do it is, there's days that you could skip if you want to. It's only on the days that you want to.
Right.
As long as you're home. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
We tried that.
And it didn't work.
But he didn't want to skip any days.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, entonces.
Okay.
You know, and it sounds like, pero why are you scheduling? Y que no sé qué. I can already hear people, you know, saying, because you have to.
Yeah.
Because that's the way he understands it, and that's the way
he's
it works for him.
It, and it's just not appropriate for certain situations.
Exactly.
And since it's not, and he's not, this is the way he's going to understand it.
Yeah. So, at first I said, okay, you could skip, hey, why don't we, you know, you skip one day. Which day you want to pick. It's up to him. And he'll tell me, no sé, I don't know, Wednesday or Saturday or whatever. Okay. And he skips. Poquito a poquito, después de un tiempo, which let's skip 2 days. Well, Mom, only one day. No, but let's skip 2 days because, you know, you don't have to do that every day.
Yeah.
Up to now, it varies sometimes, but some weeks he'll even skip like 3 days, and he'll tell me, and then since he knows what he's doing, and since he knows that maybe he's gonna have an event or he's going to dad's house next Saturday,
right,
he'll tell me. Let's say that he's going to dad's.
Yeah.
This is the week, right? So he's going to dad's on Saturday. He spends one night.
Does he say, I'm going to have private time today because I won't be able to do.
He'll say, I'll skip, no sé, Tuesday and Saturday. Because he knows.
Yeah, that he's going to be at dad's.
That he knows that he's going to be at dad's. So that's the way it works for us. Again, I have seen kids, older kids, big kids, that either they get naked in public, or they take it out in public.
Yeah.
One day, I remember, I was in Walmart, and this lady is looking for stuff, and we know. I looked at the kid because he must have been, no sé. Tenía la edad de Ángel. No, he couldn't have been older than that. And he has some basketball shorts on. And, a t-shirt. So, yo venía y yo vi que la señora estaba ocupada mirando. Y él está detrás de ella, stimming. But standing there.
Right.
All of a sudden, as I'm getting closer, yo lo veía desde lejos from the aisle. Y cuando ya I'm getting closer, él hizo así, se viró, se sacó el pipi. And then, yo me quedé, miré para otro lado y estaba, fíjate que yo decía, ay Dios mío, no viene más nadie. Habían otra gente para allá, la otra gente estaba, yo miré, I'm like, and I was about to say, señora. Pero que ella se vira en ese momento, yo no le tuve que decir nada, y ella le dice, y ella se le pegó, y entonces quitándole las manos, qué sé yo, y subiéndole el pantalón, y tú sabes, tú la veías.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're going through now. I wouldn't say so much in public, but at the house.
Yeah.
At the house a lot.
Yeah. And we know a kid that, remember that used to just sit there, and then all of a sudden you turned and so but again, I think these are kids that are lower functioning that have a hard time processing and understanding what is happening,
what is even happening, right?
And any given kid or any given men have erections.
Right.
Tú sabes, de momento.
Yeah, like regardless, like it doesn't matter. It just happens.
Y entonces, en su mente, I guess, he's like, okay, I'm having an erection. Let's just tell the world.
Yeah.
And the level of understanding that they may have of whatever's going on. At the end of the day, you just want them to do whatever it is safely.
Right. I'm sorry, I just thought about something.
And they're clean.
Yeah, absolutely. The other day I was texting Justin's therapist about these issues. And I said, poor baby, it's gotta be hard. No pun intended. Anyways.
No pun intended.
No.
Nope.
But yes.
So yeah, it is hard.
Anyway.
Especially
bad choice of words.
And especially it's like 23 hours, you said?
Dude, I don't know. The kid's awake all the time, and whenever he's awake, it's there.
Yeah. And in his case, I guess, it's a lot different.
Yeah.
He must be like, what do I do with this? What's happening?
He's messing with it. But, he's just messing with it. And and then I also have to so what's working for us is we're redirect. So I would not say don't do that. I send them to his room. When, if he whips it out or whatever, I send them to his room. And then we redirect over and over and over and over, try to get something else, because he has to be, if he's doing that, if he's, taking it out, he has to be in his room.
Yeah.
And then whenever...
And it's hard for him to get him to understand that.
Yeah. So for the most part, he has been going to his room. And so that part, thankfully, that's getting a little better. But he doesn't understand why, he really doesn't get it. He really doesn't get it.
You don't get it in the first try. Mm-hmm. You don't. It will not happen overnight. Mm-hmm. It didn't happen overnight with me. Mm-hmm. It hasn't been happening overnight with her. Yes, these things come up.
Yeah.
Right. Pero you have to work at it and the wording.
Yeah.
Makes the difference.
Sure.
Because you have to be careful how you explain it.
Right.
And how they understand it.
Yeah.
Because it could get a little tricky.
Because it's so different for us, what we're doing is we aren't necessarily saying you can't do that. We're just sending him to his room. And when in certain situations and in others, we just redirect. So obviously he cannot be sent to his room if he's in school. So when he's in school, they redirect. Mm-hmm. And we redirect as much as possible, with the exception of when we send him to his room. We're also noticing other things where, like, he lays down on the cold floor.
Really?
He'll lay down on the floor. We assume it's because it's colder. Maybe it soothes him. He does the same thing he sits on the counter and he lays down on the counter. So, and the doctor had already mentioned this to me before, because we were starting to see some changes a few weeks ago, and the doctor told me, I think it's purely hormonal.
Yeah.
Watch out for these things. Sure enough, right after I talked to the doctor, his psychiatrist, mm-hmm. he started doing the laying on the cold floor and that sort of thing. So something is definitely, he's feeling something, and yeah.
Yeah, and if you have to teach him from scratch, you have to teach him from scratch.
Yeah, I just send him to the room and yeah, and for girls it's just as difficult too, not just that, God, yes. But like, again, I'm thankful that we don't have to deal with that. But I remember when, not so much about sexuality, but about like, the human growth and development and the menstruation. I remember when I was doing these trainings at Justin's old school, one of the things that the principal, that she was the one doing the workshop, one of the things that she said was, when they finally start menstruating and they start going through these changes and these things, stick to a plan and to one thing. So she was talking about how it was disastrous with a particular mom that decided to introduce her special needs kid. Now remember, this is a school where the kids are a little bit on the lower functioning end. She started introducing, after introducing pads, she started introducing tampons because that's what she used as a mom. I would not, and the principal said I would not advise doing that. The last thing you need, and I 100% agree with her, the last thing you need is for a child that is having changes and those feelings and is also going through the changes that come with menstruation. Last thing I want, if I had a daughter that was going through that, I don't want her to figure out that you could put stuff in there. That is because, again, you don't know what other things they're going to try.
Yeah, and I, Angel's not going to go through that.
Right.
Knowing Angel's understanding and the way he thinks and the way he comes
that stops the blood. But then, wait, so I can put a magic marker, or I could, you just never know.
You never know. Because that has, not that, mm-hmm. but with certain things.
Yeah.
Since he generalizes so mm-hmm. much, it was like, no, but wait, mm-hmm. no, you don't do that way, because...
Right.
So tienes que explicar y tienes que super explicar y requete explicar.
Yeah.
Pero I can see if it was Angel, which is not.
Right.
But if it was Angel, he would be like, pero espérate.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I would just stick to one thing, a particular style, and pads. If you want to use them, tampons, that's fine for you.
And also
but I wouldn't show that to a teenager.
The level of understanding.
Exactly.
Too.
All that has to do. I mean, you could be...
See, a girl that is super high functioning.
Right.
And understands
Right, and
the
it's already
right from wrong
exactly.
kind of deal.
Yes, yes. Because you could be on the very high, you could be have a diagnosis of autism, but you've so many, go on to have careers and get married and have children. That's different. Obviously, if you're able to live that kind of life, then obviously that doesn't apply to that person. But to the person that doesn't quite get that, that's
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. In my case, and knowing how Angel thinks, if I had a girl that had the same level and the same understanding as Angel, there would be no way. Right. There would be no way.
And as far as
I wouldn't do it.
Keeping clean and that sort of thing, and hygiene, I would probably, because I could go the other way around too, where they change their pad every 10 minutes. They see blood, they change their pad. You don't have to change it every. So it's so much that goes into that. But maybe put them on a timer. You can kind of, if you have a daughter and you already kind of figured out how the flow is on certain days, you can have them on a timer and be like, every, hour and a half, check and see if you have this much, it's time. If you don't have, and it really is, like we always say, what works for your child.
I wanted to also tell you that I know we've talked about it. Love on the Spectrum. It's on Netflix. And there's others. There's I think
one. Atypical was one of them as a show.
Well, no, Atypical was like a show.
Right. Love on the Spectrum is more like a reality thing.
Like a documentary.
It's almost like a documentary, yeah.
Una cosa así.
And they go into certain like situations. Yeah, that can arise with like relationships and
with different levels and male, female, autistic, adult. So, down for love. Y el otro es ay Dios mío, Born This Way.
Okay. Yeah, I think that one's also about Down syndrome.
Those are more geared towards Down syndrome, but I feel like special needs is special needs.
Right.
And they're all complex.
And they go into a lot of topics that
and ways that
and relationships and that sort of thing.
And ways to help them out, navigate all of that, because imagínate, now is this stuff, but then later dating.
Right. Yeah.
So there are therapists that actually go to their houses. The Spectrum, Love on the Spectrum is on in Australia. Based in,
I think it's in Australia.
Sí,
yeah.
Sí.
I think we saw that.
So, thank you, because, entre tú y yo, no hacemos ni uno. One brain.
Yeah. Said half, pero bueno.
Bueno, no sé.
One entre las dos.
Si acaso. So, anyway, there's, even though it's the other shows, even though they're for like Down syndrome, but it's special needs all around. So, and everything is so different for each kid. So I guess you could, get some info from there.
Yep.
And who knows. So this is it. I'm tired.
Yeah, for real.
Are you tired?
I'm tired.
And I think the
and the camera's tired.
It's flashing.
It's legit like run out of battery like 3 times already, 4 times. Anyway.
All right.
So, hasta la próxima.
Hasta la vista.
Baby.
All right. No, what? SpectrumMamis. We're here to inform, inspire, support.
Oh, that's it.
Is she twirling me? Ahorita me saca el violín. Pero bueno, you never know. Okay. So, yes. Find us. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. We're SpectrumMamis all around.
Yep.
So, like and subscribe, people. Don't be stingy with your likes and your subscriptions and your shares. Come on, people.
Yep.
Come on, people.
All of that.
All of that? And a bag of chips?
Yep.
All right, there we go.
All right.
So,
we out.
You know the drill. See you next week. Every Friday, a new episode. Bye.